Good afternoon, good morning, and good day once again. Welcome to episode 2 of Duelist Diaries with your boy, Big Buppulus Prime, aka Big Buppo, aka the Rotten Duelist. Because today we are doing something absolutely rotten. We are using an Arcane build. Now, most of you will think, well, Buppo, you're using an Arcane build, but why are you using the funny rot hammers with a poison buildup? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why aren't you using rivers of blood? Why aren't you using, a bleed build? I thought Arcane builds were called bleed builds, bro. What the fuck's going on here? What is this? What is this? Well, the truth is, I don't like bleed builds. I don't. It feels like I'm playing on easy mode. It feels like I'm actually cheating when I use a bleed build. And, it's fine for PvE. I have no judgment when it comes to using a bleed build on PvE. Because the game is actually hard. The PvE is actually hard in this. Because a lot of the bosses and even some of the phantoms and all that, they're super, high scaled when it comes to health. So you need something to take them down. And in New Game Plus cycles, bleed becomes one of the only viable options. It's kind of silly. But when it comes to PvP, I mean, you're playing against other players who have the same amount of health scaled up to you, unless you're playing against overleveled phantoms. So in terms of invasions, bleed builds have a bit more of merit there, but there are some nasty bleed setups that, go a little too hard. Meanwhile, poison kinda sucks. Poison kinda sucks, and that's why I love it. That's the truth. That's why I love it. And a combination of rot and poison kind of makes it good. Kind of makes it fun. A few panic rolls there. I know you noticed that there, guys, but that was a scary situation. I do not like that Ash of War. That's me collapsing to the floor, knowing that I'm using an Arcane build, and I feel ashamed of myself. No, I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with using Arcane builds. If you want to use them in PvP, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But for me personally, it just feels too easy. It just feels too easy. So I gave myself a challenge with this Arcane build. I decided to use funny rot hammers with really high poison buildup. And in one jumping attack, it triggers poison. And I could have made this build even stronger. I could have used the mushroom head and I could have used the rot talisman. But I thought it would be funnier. And I could have used the jumping attack talisman and the jumping attack Raptor Feathers chest piece. So with those 4 damage multipliers, little damage buff multiplier combinations, I could have had a much more devastating, deadly, and brutal build. But why would I make things easy for myself? Why would I make things easy for myself? I think it's funnier to use the funny hammers. Why? Because I don't want to kill someone in 1 hit. I don't want to kill someone in 2 hits. I want to have a fight where I make my opponent stressed. I want to have a fight where I make my opponent panicked. And I think that is the fun of bleed builds. Because you see what he's doing there? In this fight, my opponent is using... Well, he's using lag to get away. But he's also using Flame Cure Me, or whatever the spell is called. Flame Grant Me Protection. Or I literally forgot the name, but you know what I'm talking about. He's using a spell to cure the poison. And what I love about it is I proc the poison so quickly that it puts him in a scenario where he's stuck healing it. He's stuck curing it, which gives me an opportunity to attack. Now you're going to see me use a lot of jumping attacks here. But, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this build. It's punishing. It's punishing. And now he knows. It's okay, I can't just use Flame Cleanse Me. That's the name of the spell. I can't just use Flame Cleanse Me anymore, is what he's thinking. Because if I do, he's going to hit me every time. He's going to punish me. But now I have him in a stressed situation where he can't decide, do I cure this? Do I fight with it? If I fight with it, I have to beat him fast. Which, we're matched health. But if I don't fight with it, then I'm in a scenario where, I'm going to get punished for healing it. What do I do? Okay, well now we're in kind of a similar situation. Our health is low. I have close to half health. He has closer to a quarter health. I clearly have the advantage here, and there you go. I get the win. And it's because what I love about poison builds and rot builds is that it is a psychological game. It is what I love about this PvP. And with these hammers, they have really poor range. I have to do everything I can to close the gap. And good players, they're going to have better spacing. Like this guy right here, I actually went over and followed him, so go check him out on Twitch. Forgetful TTV, the E in Forgetful in the get part is with the 3. Really cool dude, really nice guy. And yeah, I'll be promoting Twitch streamers and stuff like that. So my point here with this fight is that when someone has good spacing, it can be beat. Even bleed builds. Even bleed builds can be beat. Now, if I was running bleed hammers, maybe this fight would have gone differently. And this Ash of War, I love it. I love it. It's really good for proccing damage and poison. But here's the drawback right here. You have to try to bait your opponent into it. And I am one hit away. And I'm hoping that he'll get greedy. I'm hoping that he'll like try to come in and hit me with one last hit, and I can maybe, like, you know, stun lock him with the Ash of War. So I bring out the hammer, I start spinning it, and there's your drawback right there. There's your drawback right there. So GG's to my man Forgetful, he fought really well. And yeah, that Ash of War, it's like the Stormhawk Axes one. It's really good, it is fun, but the issue with it is that anyone with projectiles can easily punish it because you're kind of stuck in that Ash for a little while. But going back to Arcane builds and bleed builds. Bleed builds, they're very, very strong. They're very, very strong. But the drawback to it and the issue is that then people don't get very creative and they don't start exploring other options. Like the poison rot hammers, like I had so much fun using these. I had so much fun using these that, like, at first, you saw in the start of the video, when I'd finish a fight, I'd collapse, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm using an arcane build. What am I doing with my life? And then as I play with these funny hammers, it's like, wow, this is actually a good time. This is actually a lot of fun. It almost feels like that one poison build I had in Dark Souls 3. I had a Swamp Invasion level 29 plus 3 poison build. And it did crap damage. It was not good, but with good spacing and casting like the poison spells and all that, it made it fun. It made it so much fun. And, you know, it had that psychological torment aspect of builds that I like. So over here, I'm against the Madness Lad. It is a little bit of a little laggy of a fight, but I figured, you know what, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. My PC is a little bit struggling with Elden Ring. I'm still trying to optimize it to function properly, but regardless, I think it's still relatively playable. But you know, whatever. That doesn't really matter. What matters here is my man goes to cure the poison and gets the absolute punish. I'm sad because I thought that was going to miss, because throughout most of these duels that I was doing with these hammers, as fun as they are, I find that they have terrible tracking on their jumping L1s, unless you delay it, but, you know, even then. Also, I don't know if that poison knife hit, or if it somehow, like, went between his chest and his arm. That was weird. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, Arcane builds. There is a lot of potential to them. You don't have to run a bleed build. You don't have to, you know, use seppuku on dual blades and do only jumping attacks with your Bare mask and your feathers and your feather raptor chest piece. You don't have to play like that. Plus, you know, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, guys. Dual blades actually has the same amount of hits as like dual scimitars. I could be wrong on this, but because people use it like it adds more to the multi-hit, but realistically I don't think it actually does. I think the actual like data values make it so that it's only 2 hits per jumping attack, but don't quote me on that. I saw it in a video at one point and I might be misquoting. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day it also looks ridiculous. Dual bladed weapons are meant to be held like a staff. Using 2 of them is impractical and redundant in real life. And I know this isn't real life. I know this is like Buppo. This is literally the fantasy, you know, madness, fire, dragon breath game. What the hell are you talking about? It's unrealistic. And it's like, yeah, I know, but you know, there are certain things where like suspension of disbelief, right? As I'm saying this, my lad's literally breathing fire. But no, when it comes to using 2 dual bladed weapons, it's like fighting with 2 long staffs, one in each hand. You look ridiculous. You're not General Grievous. Like you just look silly. But that's just my personal opinion. You don't gotta agree with it, and that's fine too. So regardless, there's more creativity to these builds. Great swords, colossal weapons actually with bleed do surprising amounts of damage. Believe it or not, they're kind of nutty. The bleed proc on that goes really hard. Sorry, I just want to acknowledge this. That's the problem with Ashes of War that have a very long end lag, a very long recovery time to their animation. It's sad, but, it is what it is. This guy, I like his build. He's got the Flamberge in one hand. He puts a Blood Flame on it, and he deals a shit ton of damage. I don't think it's an Arcane build, necessarily. I think he's got the stats for the Arcane weapon. But in terms of the bleed capability, I think his stats might actually be into Dex. Because look at the damage output that he gives with that. That's one Ash of War where the bleed was procced and I got finished because of the stun lock. Like, that was insane. It's a good build, it's a fun build, and I have a feeling it has minimum Arcane requirement, but we're going to have a rematch with him later. And that's what I mean, you can get more creative with these builds. Even bleed builds can be more creative. You can do more damage. Speaking of more creativity, do you see these dual swords that I have in hand? My favorite dual swords in the game. These are the Equade's Regalia, or Regalia of Equade. Or maybe it's Edgewide. I don't know. I literally don't know how to pronounce these swords. All I know is that they're the Arcane swords, and they are not a bleed weapon. They just deal a crap ton of damage. And straight up, dual swords in Elden Ring is pretty meta. They are very strong in this game. Good roll catch capability. I'm not very good at roll catching anymore. It's not Dark Souls 3. But, the capacity for roll catch that dual swords have is absolutely nuts. I think I go for a better roll catch here. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Either way, these swords, really good for baiting your opponent. You hit him. Look at that damage, too. He had half health. And all I did was land 2 L1s. Dude, I'm telling you, the Arcane dual swords, the ones that you can get near the start of the game, they are powerful, they're strong, and they have really good bait capability. And by that I mean, you throw out an L1, they roll away, they're going to roll back in to attack you, because that's a lot of the dance of PvP in these games now. And as they're rolling back in, you hit them with the L2. That drill, again, I don't have the setup for talismans to do more damage with this. But look, roll catch capability. But that L2 is very, very strong. It is very, very good. You can maximize its damage with Millicent's Prosthesis and either the Sword Insignia Talisman or the Rotten Sword Insignia Talisman with the Shard of Alexander and even the Godfrey Icon. You combine all of that together and do like the full charge attack with it, and PvE it's going to destroy. Full charge attack excluded. So you would not use the Godfrey Icon in PvP. Just do that bait. Just do what I did there. Look at that. I didn't even get the full hit, and that's already like a quarter of his health. And look at the dance. Look at the dance. Look at the ability and movement that you still have with these swords, because you can roll out of the Ash of War animation. For people who know the Mare's Executioner Blade, it's the same Ash of War. Oh, and my god, it's so fun. It's so fun, and you can do so much more damage on an optimized build with it. I have the talismans. I didn't use it because I didn't feel like swapping around my talismans, because I actually have low endurance on this build, and it would have meant that I might not have been able to use my armor to its full potential. But that's the thing. Like, I prioritized... this is almost like a quality Arcane build. I've got like 26 strength and like 20 dexterity. Maybe even 25 dexterity. I don't actually remember the full stats, but they'll be there at the end of the video so you guys can check it out. But yeah, no, for sheer capacity to use different weapons and try different things out, the most fun I had were with those 2 sets of weapons. Those 2 sets of dual-wielding weapons. The hammers, because hammers are funny. And, oh man, here, another example of this Ash of War beaten out by distance. You can keep it going, and that step forward can close the gap, but, projectile spamming is what really beats out on that Ash of War, and that makes me sad. Because it's a pretty good Ash of War, and if I would have put bleed on those hammers, getting caught in that blood vortex tornado is brutal. I recommend giving it a try with a different weapon, maybe with a longer reach. Like what this guy's using right here. No wait, that's the Vike War Spear. I thought it was the Guardian Sword Spear. Guardian Sword Spear, I believe, in my personal opinion, at least for me, top tier S tier weapon for sure. It's a halberd with a swing, like the attack patterns are swinging and arcing, so instead of just pure pokes forwards, it has the reach of a poke weapon, but it has like the horizontal range of a sword. It is an incredible weapon, and halberd classes are already 10 out of 10. Didn't mean to point down there, by the way. I did actually want to bow at him. That was an accident there. We fumbled a little bit of spaghetti in that fight, but it is what it is. But yeah, going back to my former point, talking about the dual weapons that you can use in this game. Yeah, the most fun I had was with these hammers. The most fun I had was with the long swords. You can try different long swords, put different Ashes of War on them, and you know, try different stuff. Try poison builds. I implore you to try poison builds. They are not about dealing high damage more than they're about getting into your opponent's head and forcing them to act, forcing them to panic. Like right there, he knows that he has to eat those boluses, and if I had a little bit better spacing, because I've got spaghetti in my pockets in this fight here, it doesn't matter. With a little bit better spacing, I could be punishing those bolus consumptions. And if they're not consuming the boluses, you're taking the damage from the poison. You're taking the damage from the rot. So like, you have to do something about it. Also, quick step on a hammer, very funny. It kind of makes up for the hammer's poor capacity of movement and rolling away, and really slow motion values for their attacks. I think I used motion values wrong there, but frame data is what I meant to say. So yeah, when it comes to the frame data of the dual hammers, they're very slow, but quick step I find makes up for a lot of what it doesn't have. Also, it's rematch against our boy here with the Flamberge and the Flame Blade. We have to remember this man does a lot of damage. He hits very hard, but this time we're fighting him with the straight swords, with our regalias, with our equades. Probably pronouncing that wrong, does not matter, because what matters is, look at that damage. This is what I'm talking about. Look at that. And then you bait it with an L2. Oh, that was 2 hits. That was technically 2 hits. 3 hits if you count each individual sword string from the jumping attack, right? But like, my lord in heaven, that is so much scrunculous, dunculous, funculous damage. And again, not an optimized build. And yet, this is an arcane build without bleed, and you're still dealing good damage? Like, there's a lot you can do in this game. And straight up, poison rot weapons, you can wear the mushroom crown for that extra damage burst with poison. You can wear the rotten talisman for that extra burst damage with poison. You really want to get cheeky? You can do that instead of with bleed. You do wear the Lord of Blood Exaltation, but you have like an innate rot weapon with just bleed on it. So when you do get all 2 status procs, you get 3 damage bonuses. Oh, goodness gracious. You're going to be dealing damage like no tomorrow. And not that I endorse low-level invasions, but like, sometimes if you're making a low-level invasion build with high health, those damage bonuses can take you a long way, and it's really easy to proc at the start of the game. Do I recommend harassing new players like that? Absolutely not. It's a pretty shitty thing to do. But if you're doing a dried finger run, or sorry, in this game, a taunter's tongue run, and you're having people invited into your world as you're trying to beat the game and being invaded, that's a good way to stay alive. That's a good way to challenge yourself, because the enemies in the game are going to be tough, but you're going to have an easier time fighting your opponents, at least at the low levels. But yeah, I mean, getting those items aren't necessarily early game things, but you know, just an idea for those of you thinking of doing a bit of a challenging counter-stun run with a poison build setup. Oh man, like, this is what I mean. Like, these weapons, like the roll catch capability of longswords in this game, crazy. And the fact that these are arcane scaling and everyone's doing an arcane build, try it. Just try these two, like, or even just one. Just try one of these longswords, all right? Just try one, and trust me, you will not regret it. You will have a great time. That's my weapon review of the, Equa's Regalia. I think it is my favorite longsword in the game, straight up. The Sword of St. Trina is a fun weapon too. A little silly, a little toxic, so I don't really use it, but I think it's a funny weapon. I think it's a funny weapon, and again, it could be very funny during invasions at any level. Which is going into my next point for future videos on this channel. So Duelist Diaries is currently my favorite series to work on. I know it's only episode 2, but I finally think I found a format that I enjoy making on this channel. And it's some silly fun. It's pretty good. Oh, did you see them lag step there? That little backwards moonwalk? That was incredible. That was amazing. I need to learn that tech. I need to learn that skill, because clearly that's something I'm lacking. Woo! Okay, but GG. That was good. That was fun. Anyways, going back onto my former point, this game is a lot of fun. This game is amazing. And I actually forgot my former point. Don't tell anybody. But all jokes aside, I like this. Oh, yeah, okay. This is one thing I wanted to mention. Now I'm using the bleed hammers. And did you see what I just did? One jumping attack. One jumping attack. 2 jumping attacks. And the fight's almost over. So this is what I mean. This I saved for the end of the video to make a point. And my point here is, bleed builds feel like cheating. This guy, I'm sorry, he never stood a chance. And now I won't even let him cast a spell. I'm being toxic with my little poison knives. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, cast a spell. You can't. You can't. Oh, you cast one spell? Don't worry about it. I'll just roll away from it. Yeah, no, I'm not even fighting you. I'm over here. Uh-oh. And now he's poisoned. No. He's poisoned on the next one, or he dies on the next one. Goodness gracious. Yeah, no, I felt bad, but it is what it is, I gotta give him a little nod, because I did like his build. I did like the fact that he was using Horror Lose Earthshaker on a mage. That's hilarious. I love that. Hey! But, nah, bleed builds, silly. But not infallible. You can still lose on a bleed build against someone who knows what they're doing and has good spacing. That's the caveat, It's a one-trick pony when it comes to bleed builds, and you get that crazy burst damage, and that's great and all, but it's not a guaranteed win. And as you can see against the fight that I have with this guy, bleed builds are not always a guaranteed win. So right here, I think to myself, yep, yeah, I did it. I'm gonna win. I got the bleed build. But my man, he clutches. He does the comeback. I'm spoiling it, I know, but look at this. So I think to myself, all right. Things are even now. I need to do something. Now I'm stressed out because I don't have that psychological torment. I don't have that pressure of my poison build. I lost all my confidence. I relied on the bleed build, and I thought I won with that jumping attack, but I was sorely mistaken. So that's the truth. I feel like bleed builds also give false confidence. But at the same time, they are busted. They are silly. They are broken. Remember this guy? We beat him in round 2. Well, now we're using a bleed build in round 3. He beat us in round 1, and he beat us pretty decisively. Exactly like this, actually. But this time I actually managed to roll away. And now I just hit him with one jumping attack. Okay. And then... oh, no. He hit me. Is it over for me? Nope. I hit him with a jumping attack because 2 jumping attacks is all it took. Landing 2 jumping attacks is all it took. Bleed builds? Kinda silly. Kind of ridiculous. And that's the thing, he landed 2 attacks on me too. That's kind of the Elden Ring meta right now. And I don't think that's as fun as using the poison and rot hammers. That's a more fun meta to me. The fight lasts longer. I'm in my opponent's head a lot more. It's a lot more of a stressful situation. Like, let's be real. That's where the real fun is. That's where the real fun is at. Come on. Tell me I'm wrong. You know what? If you think I'm wrong, or if you have builds that you want to see me try, or if you have your own opinions on the matter, like, please discuss it with me in the comment section. I'm pretty good about responding to comments and interacting with the community right now, because let's face it, we're a very small YouTube channel, and I want to meet people, I want to make new friends. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I do want to know what the rest of the community has to say about arcane builds and bleed weapons and poison builds and whatnot. And if you have suggestions for any builds or ideas that you want to see me try, you know, it could actually become the next episode of Duelist Diaries. So this fight's coming to an end here. I think I finish him with some kind of jumping attack to take away a 2/3. There it is. 2/3 of his health and a double bleed. So remember to like and subscribe, and remember to not use bleed builds. Do an arcane build. Here's the equipment and talismans, and here are the stats. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a great night. Take care, and good night. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to Big Buppo's YouTube. You must. Or tickle your toes. I will.